Today, we're exploring a text that reads less like a story and more like a binding contract with the divine. We're diving deep into Leviticus 26, a chapter that is all about clear terms and even clearer consequences. Okay, so let's start with a little thought experiment. Just imagine if life came with an instruction manual. I don't mean vague advice, but like guaranteed outcomes. If you do this, that will happen. Period. No ambiguity, just pure cause and effect. Well, believe it or not, an ancient text offers pretty much exactly that. Leviticus 26 lays out a contract with the highest possible stakes you can imagine. A clear set of choices that lead down one of two paths, one of incredible prosperity and the other of complete and utter ruin.
So, how does this all work? Well, the entire chapter is built around something called a divine covenant. The best way to think of it is as the ultimate terms and conditions for a nation's relationship with its God. Now, for an ancient people living in a world of droughts, famines, and sudden wars, a contract like this offered something really profound, a sense of order. It meant their fate wasn't just random, but a direct consequence of their own actions.
First things first, let's get our key terms straight. A covenant isn't just a rule book. It's a really serious two-way agreement. God makes a promise and, in return, expects specific behavior. It's a relationship, built on mutual obligations. And what are the core terms of this agreement? What's the fine print? Well, the opening verses lay them out very simply. Essentially, no idolatry, respect sacred times and places, and follow the laws. These are the fundamental conditions for everything that's about to follow.
All right, so what happens if you hold up your end of the bargain? The text first outlines the path of blessings, and it paints this incredibly vivid picture of a perfectly prosperous society.
And notice how real, how tangible these rewards are. This isn't about some abstract spiritual gain down the line. It's about predictable rains, harvests so ridiculously plentiful they actually overlap, and never ever having to worry about hunger. It's the vision of a perfect, secure life.
And the blessings extend way beyond the fields. The covenant promises total security, peace inside the borders, safety from wild animals, and overwhelming victory in any battle. It's a promise of national strength, growth, and just the ability to live without fear.
But what if the terms are broken? This is where the chapter takes a dramatic and, frankly, a terrifying turn. For every single blessing, there is an equal and opposite curse. This is the price of disobedience.
This slide just illustrates the structure perfectly. You see, the curses aren't random. They're a direct inversion of the blessings. The promise of rain becomes a heaven as iron. A fertile earth becomes earth as brass. The very source of life becomes the source of ruin.
So let's look at the specifics. The bounty from the fields is replaced by disease and terror. Work becomes totally futile. You sow seeds just for your enemies to come and eat the harvest. The entire system of just surviving is completely dismantled.
And just as peace was promised, now terror reigns. Instead of victory, there is humiliating defeat and subjugation, and the psychological toll is immense. It's described as a state of paranoia so profound that even the sound of a falling leaf causes total panic.
Now this is absolutely crucial. The punishment isn't a one-time thing. If the people keep on ignoring the warnings, the consequences don't just continue, they intensify dramatically.
The punishments will be multiplied 7 times more for your sins. So this isn't a static penalty. It's a compounding disaster that just builds and builds with each level of defiance. You can see the horrifying progression right here. It starts with hardship in society. If that doesn't work, it escalates to ecological collapse. Still no change, it moves to all-out war and siege. And finally, it culminates in the total destruction of the nation and its people. This final escalation contains what is arguably one of the most shocking and just visceral passages in the entire Bible. It describes the absolute rock bottom of human desperation. Yeah, the text describes a famine so severe that it breaks the most fundamental human taboo there is. This is the ultimate consequence, a society so broken, so completely shattered, that it literally consumes itself.
After that devastating climax, you might think it's all over, game over, right? But the contract actually has one final clause. Even after the absolute worst imaginable punishments, the chapter offers a path back, a glimmer of hope.
So how do you return from the brink? The text lays out a really clear process. First, a full confession. Second, genuine humility. And third, and this is crucial, accepting the justice of the punishment that was received. It's about taking full and complete responsibility. And if those conditions are met, the original promise is restored.
This final quote is the key takeaway of the whole chapter. It reveals that no matter how badly the people break their side of the deal, God's side remains unbreakable. The covenant can be violated, but it can't be totally voided. Restoration is always possible.
This ancient text presents a world of absolute moral clarity and consequence. It shaped the identity and the history of a people for millennia, which kind of leads us to a final thought. What are the covenants, the unspoken contracts, with clear consequences that guide our own lives, our societies, and our choices today?